Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? We're going to continue our talk on feminism. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Let's see. Some of the things that I wanted to get into that I find quite interesting. Women seem to never want to reflect on themselves. Like I say, they have a victim culture, especially feminists, and most women in general. They have a victim culture where they'll be with many men and it's always the man's fault. Everything that's happened in their life, all their problems, are men's fault. A lot of men do the same thing, saying that it's women's fault. But this is a common thread, you know. The problem that we have right now is there's 70% of black women are single, you know. And they don't reflect on it, that they have too high of standards. First of all, there's so many men, black men, that are incarcerated, that there's far more women than there are men for them to be able to marry. So there's really not enough black men to go around for a black woman to marry a black man. And while most other cultures say black, say white, Spanish, Asian men will date a black woman, they don't really want to marry them, mainly because they're quite forceful. They're not, there's a lot of stories going around about the white women. The reason why black men like white women, they'll do your laundry, they'll take care of you, they'll treat you like a person, a human. Whereas a black woman is, all this kind of bullshit. And I've dated quite a few black women, and I wouldn't marry one. I wouldn't want to put myself into that for the next, 50 years. That'd be like torture, Basically, you wouldn't have a life, You wouldn't have a life unless she allows you to have a life. And that's not anything I want, And then the other thing is, out of those, out of black women, 72% of black women are single mothers. So even though they found somebody to have children with, that person either isn't a good choice for a father, or that father didn't want to stick around with you, And, when those things happen, you always need to think, what did I do? First, and that's something that lots of women don't want to do. Men do the same thing, like I say, when they get divorced. It's always the woman's fault. But later on, you should be able to reflect back and say, I kind of fucked up that. I did something wrong. That was something I shouldn't have done. The other problem that we have with a lot of women in general is they always have this monkey branch mentality, where they're always reaching for something better. They think, like, if they find a really hot guy, they think like, wow, I got this hot guy. That means I can get a better guy if I can get this guy. So they're always trying to reach and find somebody better than what they have, instead of just being happy with what they got. And they fuck up their own lives by doing that. If a man has somebody that he feels is really sexy and gorgeous and something that he likes, he'll stick with her. He'll stay with her for years. He won't think he should try to find someone better unless that person starts to treat him like shit. And then he'll go find somebody not better, which is what happens in a lot of relationships. A lot of times guys leave a pretty decent woman for somebody that's not so decent, just because the woman that they were with turned into a crazy bitch, which happens all the time, What I feel in the future, I think that the perfect man for a lot of men, there's the MGTOW movement, and I would say the perfect man, the perfect woman for a man nowadays is going to be a transgender woman, because first of all, she had to live for a while with the mindset of a woman, of a man. She knows a little bit about women, but typically men don't want to marry a tomboy. Tomboys are fun when you're 15 or 14, but when you grow up, and a lot of women nowadays don't know how to be feminine. They don't want to be feminine. They don't want to walk in high heels. They don't want to wear dresses. They don't want to act feminine. They want to cut their hair short. They want to act like guys. They want to talk like guys. They spit. They fart. They do things like that. That's not attractive to most men. Men don't find that attractive, you know. And the thing that you have with transgender women is they tend to be overly feminine. They're trying to be real women. They're trying to be very, very feminine. And that's very attractive because it's not usual to find that nowadays. You know, look at Gigi Gorgeous. I mean, she's what guys want. Guys want feminine women. It's not about the beauty so much as it is the confidence, because the most sexiest thing about a woman is their confidence. But if you can't walk like a woman, you know, with a little bit of a shake in your hips, things like that, that's not attractive, you know. You can't even walk in high heels. When you walk in high heels, you look like you have to take a shit, you know. That's not sexy. Guys don't find that sexy. It's just a fact, you know. If you're gonna do that, I mean, you know. So that, yeah, that's what I think. You know, I think in the future, the perfect woman for a man is going to be transgender. First of all, he won't try to get pregnant. You know, he won't be worried about getting her pregnant and having her force him into marriage. You know, the one of the cool things that I think I found out recently is about diamonds. You know, we got the blood diamond thing going on, and women still feel this need to have a diamond. Well, a diamond is the only thing in a relationship that has no purpose. Serves no purpose. You know, you have like 8-year-old children dying in another country to get you this little tiny piece of rock that your husband might, on top of his debt that he might have for his car and his house and his student loan debt, and probably having to pay off some of your student loan debt too, he has to buy you this $6,000 diamond that's this big that some little 8-year-old kid pulled out of the ground, you know? And it serves no purpose. You can't eat it, you can't use it. I mean, if you buy a $6,000 car, you can drive it, you know? Anything that you buy, you can use, but it's the only thing that just goes on your finger and doesn't do anything. You know, it's silly, but women feel the need to force a man to buy something like that to them. And if you don't want to do that, then you're not a man. You know, and these are just stereotypical things that women don't seem to want to talk about. You know. Let's see. Let me talk about some big problems. There's 5 laws that women always talk about how they don't have as much rights as men, which is completely false, 100% false. But let me just talk about 5 things that are laws that affect women and that women have legal recourse and men don't. Okay? First thing, women have the right to have men. They have the right to have reproductive rights, you know? So they have like 5 different things they can do. They can get an abortion, they can put the child up for adoption, they can, on the birth certificate, they can not sign the father's name, and then they can put him up for adoption. You know, they can do the morning after pill. Men don't have any of this. If you're pregnant and a man got you pregnant and you decide to keep it, that man is on the hook for the rest of his life, and he doesn't have that choice to say, no, I don't want to be the father. You know, he doesn't have that choice. And women will always say, like, well, it takes 2 to do it. Yes, it is, but a lot of times, not all of the time, but a lot of times, those relationships are for that because the woman suspected he might have been cheating or wanted to get him to marry her, and even though she got pregnant, he still didn't marry her, and he left her, and now she's a single parent, and it ends up being, and pretty much always was, about money, and she ruins his life. how many people have you heard these stories? You know, a lot of the times there's so many guys in, you know, I remember hearing this thing like there's so many inventions and so many dreams in the graveyard. You know, look at Robin Williams. He was taken down by women wanting to take half of his shit, and he was actually later in his life and before he died, he was doing movies and working his ass off and killing himself so that he could pay alimony, you know, to women, you know, where they're living in his home, you know, wanting millions of dollars a year from him just so that they can go out and have a lavish lifestyle, you know, and women don't care about that, not at all, you know. And in America and many other countries as well, it's illegal to do genital mutilation on a woman when she's a baby. You know, think of what it would be if when you had a little baby girl, they said, okay, we're gonna chop off her labia, you know, we're gonna chop off her clit, you know. But men don't have that right. You know, they can't say like, well, I want to circumcise my son, and the doctor can't say, whoa, wait, you know, we can't do that. You know, that's your son's right. You know, maybe your son doesn't want to be circumcised, you know. So men don't have that right, you know, to get genital mutilation, you know. Women have the right to public progress and vote. Oh yeah, this is a big one. Yeah, women can get like a driver's license, they can vote, they can use public programs like welfare, public assistance, any kind of program like that. But men don't have that right unless they sign up for selective service at the age of 18. Women don't have to do that. So women without signing up for selective service can vote for men or women that will vote to put your husband or boyfriend in a war that could end his life. Yet you don't have to do that as a woman. Do you think that's right? That me as a man, I should, unless I sign up for a selective service, I can't vote, I can't get a driver's license, I can't use any public programs, I can't do anything, basically, in the United States without signing up for selective service first. Yet you can do anything you want, even though you haven't done that. You know, that's another law. That's a law in America, you know. Let's see. The right to be the caregiver. This is another thing. It's very rare. I've had a couple of friends that have actually got divorces and got paternity of the children only because the wife was so fucked up. And in one of the cases, the wife actually got the kids back once she got out of fucking prison. You know, and it's very rare. And if you see a man that has his children, the first thing you think is he's a widow. You know, it's very rare for a man to get custody of his children, even if he's a better parent, because the women always end up with the children. And this is something that's very, very invasive. A lot of men and girls, when they grow up, talk about not having their father in the picture. And whether you're divorced or single or whatever, I myself never knew my father. I'm adopted, and I knew my original mother, but only until I was 5. And that's a big hole in my life, you know. And not knowing my father is a big thing, and not having that fatherly influence growing up. I was adopted and I did have a father, but not knowing your father, and especially not knowing your father because your mother decided to keep him from you and also talk shit about him your whole life. But we're not supposed to act like that's wrong for a woman to be able to do, you know. I don't understand how that's not supposed to be wrong. Yet nobody talks about it, nobody cares about it. Feminists, like, perfectly fine. All men suck. All men are evil. This is what we're supposed to be led to believe, you know? I guess. Whatever. Let's see. Now there's a national organization for women, and that's the one that has the shared paternity, and it's actually a law. They have a paper on the books that denies equality, and feminists are always talking about they just want equality. They don't want equality. They want superiority. That's what they want. They want to have what they think men have, and they want to get men subjugated, which has already happened. It's happening. It's done. It's been done for years. If they wanted equality, they could have stopped years ago. There was a law on the books in 1963 that actually John F. Kennedy signed into law that stated if there was a discrepancy in wages that the women could actually sue. And nobody has ever brought a case to trial using that defense. So if it's so prevalent, any woman that had a 77% to a dollar difference in pay would be able to go in and get more money, you know. But the thing is about that is, like, say, they always say that a woman that has the same job gets paid less. Well, the thing that they never seem to talk about is in 95 to 98% of those cases, the man doing the same job is working more hours, and that's why he gets more money. The women don't want to work till 10 o'clock at night from like 7 in the morning. You know, they don't want to do that, you know. So they get off at 5 or 6 and they go home while the man stays behind. Maybe he's a secretary and he gets paid, you know, $12 an hour, where the woman gets paid $9 an hour. And they say, well, there's a discrepancy there in my pay, you know. Well, maybe it's because you work 5 days a week. When you're there, you only do what you're asked to do, whereas the men will be trying to do more and more and more and more. And I'm not talking about getting coffee, you know, for your boss. I'm talking about working, you know, trying to actually work. And so they give him a raise, you know, and maybe he works Saturdays and even Sundays. Maybe he works at home and he works online and he does a lot of things to try to better the company and work harder. So therefore he gets more money, you know. They never talk about these things. Why is the man getting more money? You know, there's probably a reason, you know. You don't just get more money for the same job for no reason. Not just because you're man. You know, there's other reasons. And if you just look at it from face value, it's one of those old, you know, causation things where they're looking at they're looking at something and saying that's the cause of it, when it's really not. It's just a symptom. You know, it's something happening, but that doesn't mean that's the cause. Just because you're getting less money for the same job doesn't mean that you're getting money for the same job. You know, so, you know, the other thing is, on the books, there's a legal definition for rape for women. There's not one for men. Basically, the legal definition states that, and this is in the CDC, that rape is penetration, you know, and when a man gets raped, he can be forced to become erect. You know, I know as a man, in myself, the worst thing you can do to a woman in a relationship is say like, nah, I'm not really interested in having sex tonight. I'm not really interested. They'll go fucking nuts. You know, women are always talking about how men are dogs, you know, and that they always want sex and blah blah blah. Well, when you get in a relationship with a woman, sometimes you don't want to have sex, and if you turn a woman down, that's something that could end your life. You know, I had a second wife, a Spanish woman, that I turned her down one time, and she actually grabbed a hold of my dick. I actually kicked her out of my house You know, she literally grabbed a hold of my dick and was like trying to like rip it off or something. I don't know what the fuck she was doing. She went crazy just because I denied her sex, you know. And this is how women are, you know. They're crazy, you know. So if a man, like I said in the last video, there's 180,000 men a year who get raped. In fact, most of the rapes, 74% or 78% of rapes in the United States are men, not women, you know. So, and that's due to prison, you know, the prison populations and stuff. Lots of men are raped every year, and nobody talks about it, nobody cares about it. It only matters if it happens to a woman, you know. So this is you know, some legal things, you know. Now there's a thing called voiceformen.com, which I'll probably put it in the description below, where you can go and find out about a lot of this stuff. So I'll put a lot of that in the description below. You know. Let's see what else we got. A lot of women are worried about going out, you know, after dark and talking about how they feel unsafe because of men and all these things. Well, in the UK, 68% of murders are men. So out of 2011 and 2012, there were 590 murders. 367 were male, 173 were female. So you have more of a chance when you leave your home of being killed if you're a man than a woman, you know. So yeah, you know. So the UK murder rate is more than one a day for men. More than one a day for men per year, you know. So this oh, I feel unsafe because I'm a woman. You know, even this stupid thing that they got where they had that girl walking down the street in New York. The fact of a man telling you, you look sexy, your ass is nice, or your hair is nice. That's not, anybody that would think something like that is a problem is just looking for, they're just looking for a problem. You know, that's not a problem. The problem is if somebody touches you or tries to assault you in some way. We've got so far away from what is real. Like in feminism now, we've got so far away from this, like rape. Like they've got this video that came out with this girl talking about how she's raped because her father and her brothers look at her breasts or something like this, you know, and that is rape, and just words are rape, you know, things like this. You saying that, you are taking a woman who was drug out of her house, thrown into a car, taken into the woods, raped and beaten, and left for dead, and found a couple days later, taken into a hospital. You're taking away from her. You're saying that your father or your brother looking at your breast is the same as that. The same as a woman who was almost killed and raped. You know, a woman who was raped in a fraternity. You know, that woman that was bullshit, but it does happen, and it's not going to be something bad. You know, typically if you're in a college, you're not going to beat a woman because you're going to be easily found out. But there are cases of a man raping a woman where he punches her in the face, knocks her out, drags her into the bedroom, roofies her, things like this. These are rapes. This is rape. Talking and words is not rape. It's not even in the same thing. It's not even an assault. Okay? To assault somebody, you have to touch them. It's legal definitions. You have to touch somebody. So to say that because somebody said you have nice hair, have a nice day, you have a nice ass, you know, you look good in those shoes, you know, that's not assault. And you are looking for a reason to make it seem like you are a victim. That's all that is. You're saying you're a victim, and it's bullshit. You're not a victim. you're making yourself a victim by saying these things that have nothing to do with anything are harming you, and they're not. They're only harming you because you're looking for things to harm you. It's in the U.S., the murder rate for men is 77%. 77% of murders are men. 23% are females. So in the same time as the UK study, where there was 590 men. Now remember, in the UK they don't really have weapons like America. They're not all into guns. So in America there was 215,273 murders that were men. You know, or out of the 215,000, 77% of those were men. Okay, so I think that's basically all I want to talk to you about tonight with the feminism. I'm going to keep delving into this and trying to explain more and more. I know that facts are pretty hard for women to listen to, and that they want to think all feminists are just going to say you're just a man, or blah blah blah, you know, however they say, I don't know, you know, it's they always have these silly things that they think that gives them the right to treat men like shit and to talk bad about men and not allow men to say the same thing about women or to point out the facts. You know, if they point out some fact of some case, some study that they have that was a false case or a false study, and you point out that that was a false case or a false study, they will act like it wasn't, you know, and they'll say, well, my study is good and your study is not good, you know, and even though your study might be done by a reputable service and might even have showed that their study was bullshit, they'll still believe in their study because their study backs up what they're trying to say, you know, and that's all that matters to them. It doesn't matter if it's true, it just matters if they can point at it as a study that says what they're saying is true. They don't care about facts. So, have a nice night, and if you like what you've seen here, share, like, and subscribe, and have a nice night.